as a warm call, just like I would call you to say, you know, asking you how you're doing, how your family is, have you made any updates to the house, and any plans going on for this summer, just general, friendship questions.
And whenever you do that, Lisa, does it ever feel weird? Because I know sometimes I worry about calling my database, like they're gonna think it's awkward that I'm calling. Do you ever experience that?
Yes, yes, I do experience that. The ones where it's been longer, they're just as scary for me to pick up the phone, to be honest, as it is for me to say call an expired or for sale by owner. Even though I've done business with them before, I know that they know and like me, and yet it's been a while since I've talked to them. And yes, I get nervous.
And then like as you're calling them, whenever you open the conversation, I'm just thinking, because I'm seeing a lot of people on the call here who I've had coaching appointments with, and they're like, I want to work my database. I don't want to cold call, which is great. That's amazing. And it's the best way to have business. How are you opening those conversations? You're just like literally saying, hey, it's Lisa, just wanted to call and check on you all.
Hey Rebecca, this is Lisa. I know it's been a while, and yet shame on me, but I wanted to call just to see how are you doing? How's the family? And then you would probably say something, and then I would probably say, are you guys staying healthy? I would probably throw that in there.
Cool.
And then just continue to work my conversation like I normally would from there. But I would start off by saying, that I'm sorry it's been so long, and yet I still wanted to reach out and touch base with you. And I hope that maybe this year that they could come to maybe one of our client events, because I know in the past that they haven't been able to make it. So that right there is letting them know that even though I haven't picked up the phone, I've kind of stayed in contact in other ways.
Right. I love that.
But it's a shame on me call. Shame on me. I'm so sorry that I haven't stayed in contact with you as much as I should have.
Right. One of the things too, that when you don't touch your database as frequently as you should, and you realize that you're about to make some calls that could start out a little bit awkward, one of the things that I'll do is I'll think of a reason why maybe I would be thinking of them. So for example, hey CJ, I actually was showing houses in your neighborhood over the weekend and thought about you guys. I realized, oh my gosh, it's been 6 months since we had a conversation. How's the house? How is everything? Or another good one, if this is somebody that you've sold a house to a couple of years ago, it could be like, hey Tyler, I actually just had a buyer consultation with somebody, and I know you guys don't want to sell, but they literally described your house verbatim. They're looking for your house. If you have any friends or family that have a similar house, think they might want to sell, like, let's have a conversation about it. So having a reason to call that's related to business can keep it, we can still have a really fun conversation about your family and how everything's going. But explaining why you're calling, in addition to the shame on me call, I've had really good results from that. Anybody else want to share how any of their client calls are going? That this is the time of year that you want to get in front of people, because what we don't want to have happen is hit May, June, July, and you start to see your Facebook friends buying houses, and they're not buying houses with you. And that's because somebody got in front of them this time of year. So what type of calls are you all making? What type of calls do you want to make?
Speaking of Facebook, since someone's talking, I'll just jump in, because I feel really good about this. I just got 2 Facebook leads, and I'm going to be putting their house on the market. So I'm super excited about that, because they came like pretty much within a couple of weeks of each other. So anyhow, I feel good about that. I'm having a bad morning right now, but I guess I'm going to celebrate my wins. So
Lisa, I love that. I love that you're celebrating your wins. It's all right to have a bad morning. Nobody's gonna have a great Monday morning every morning. Did you these Facebook command ads, are they coming from command?
It's not an ad. It's just I guess it's just being seen on Facebook, and and maybe doing videos. I think I try to do videos, and I think people just reach out because they see me and they know that I'm a realtor, and they must like what they see, even though my videos are like pretty lame. I mean, I'm not, I don't, I don't come across as professional as say another person, and yet it seems to work. So I keep on doing them.
Hey, that's amazing. If we all thought in our heads that let's say on average, you do one Facebook video a month. Let's just say one Facebook video a month, and you sell one house from that. That's a pretty good ROI. That means you're making $500 a Facebook video if you're selling a $250,000 house. And I can tell you from everybody, from somebody who's 18 and is on Instagram to I had a lady that I was coaching at one point who was in her 70s, and I'm like, you get on Facebook, do your videos every single time. It takes a couple of months. You may be 90 to 120 days in before you get a call. Somebody's going to send you a message and say, hey, I've been watching your Facebook videos. They probably didn't engage. They probably didn't comment. They didn't like it. They didn't share. But you're going to be top of mind whenever they start to think about real estate. And it's a really powerful tool that we have at our fingertips. So I would encourage everybody, just post something. Like Lisa said, it doesn't have to be polished and perfect. Nobody wants to see that on Facebook. Be real. This is what's going on. This is what's crazy. Anybody have any thoughts around that? Any success with social media that you want to share, or questions around the topic?
I have a question. Because my approach to this, I'm very new. Like I've just got hooked up with the HERN team like just this week, and still have to do my onboarding. So I'm extremely new coming back into this. But my approach to this, well, is really focused on like the Facebook videos and really doing that. So here's my question is, I'm kind of a part of the, I don't know what you want to call it, era where we don't really call our friends anymore. It's like if they're a text or maybe even through like messaging through Facebook. So I'll be honest with you, I have very little of my friends' phone numbers. Usually it's through that. So I guess my question is there more of a ROI on doing Facebook videos than there is on calling? I mean, or maybe what is the comparison between the ROI of calling at the time calling everybody and or focusing on videos and hitting the masses at a whole? Just your thoughts.
I'm happy to give my thoughts, and we got a lot of talented people on the call who are using social media. Anybody want to share what your thoughts are on that?
I would tell you that I guess my thought is that your ROI is going to be the highest of whatever it is that you're going to feel comfortable doing consistently every day. So if you feel comfortable making calls every day to your SOI or your database and things like that, that's what you're going to see the best ROI on. If you feel more comfortable doing videos on social media and posting on social media, than making phone calls, especially to people that are maybe just acquaintances to you, then that's what you're going to have the best ROI on. I think it's just that simple, because I have no qualms about being in a spotlights kind of setting and doing videos and things like that, but I don't consistently do that. And so therefore, if I were speaking from me, I would say, well, I'm much more consistent at making calls, and that's where I see the best, return on putting that time in. But it's only because that's what I do more consistently than posting videos or posting on social media.
Okay.
I think you kind of, if you start with social media where that's where your friends are, kind of tossing the line in, but when they start nibbling, you're going to have to start making some phone calls to engage them and form the relationship, rather than just letting them bite the bait and swim off, because there's still that nurturing relationship and building the rapport and building that connection that will convert them, rather than just, relying on them to take initiative. It's the consistent follow-up, whether through social media, and eventually you earn their trust, get their phone number and email, and then start giving them personalized information. That's been working for me. It's taken a while, but I'm now turning over people that I met through Facebook interactions 2 years ago. So it's a long game.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's going to build a business, like you said, long game, build a business for years on out. Yeah.
That's exciting, Jeremy. And I'm in the same boat. A lot of my relationships are on Facebook. They're commenting on stuff, they're sending messages or whatever. One of the ways that I have messed up on that in the past is thinking just throwing out my big net was going to be good enough and they would call me, because they don't all call you.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that having, whether it's a phone conversation or even a Facebook message conversation, if that's how your database communicates and that's how you communicate with them and it's a two-way conversation, then that's great. That's lead generation. You're building a relationship. But one of the things that you don't do a lot of times over texting or messaging in that way is really understand any type of a needs analysis. So if I get you on the phone, I can understand a lot more quickly what you're looking for, where you're at, how things are going in your house. So I would encourage you, it may not be everybody, but talk with her in group and see, what would be a good goal? Is it maybe to get phone numbers from 5 Facebook friends a day, 5-10 Facebook friends a week? I don't know what it is, but I would try to set a goal about starting to migrate some of those people who are maybe like your top 50, top 100 Facebook friends. Let's start migrating some of those into a database that you can reach out to and start sending CMAs on their home and asking for referrals and those type of relationships. Now, some of us need a database of 500 because we're maybe not going to touch everybody quite so much. But if you're more of like, I want to focus in on these 100 people, they'll feed those. What are the numbers, you guys? Is it 12% of database buys every year, and those same 12 people should refer you a client? So if you have 100 people that you are truly in relationship with and you're doing it right, that should be 24 sales. It doesn't have to get crazy.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. That was good insight. I was just kind of curious what your guys' thoughts were.
Great question, Jeremy. One of the things, and we've talked about this on the call before too, I'll go back and I'll send you one of the sessions we've done on social media. It's most important that you're messaging these people through the Messenger app if you want them to be seeing your videos on Facebook. It connects you in the algorithm a lot more tightly than if you just like or comment on one of my posts, if you're actually communicating through that Facebook Messenger app.
Okay. That's really good to know. Thank you.
Good question. Look at everybody loosening up a little bit. Who else has something? Anybody have appointments coming up this week or clients that are getting a little janky on them you want to have a conversation around?
I have something, but I don't want to hog today's call. But if no one else doesn't have anything.
Lisa, go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm really upset because I don't know, I think it was about a week and a half ago, I went on an appointment, a listing appointment. And when I walked away, she's like, draw up the paperwork. I'm like, great. So probably within a couple hours, she calls me and says that she talked to her mom and a friend and said that they should interview other people. So she did, and she called me back and wanted me to discount. I gave her every reason why I was not going to discount, and that, I mean, I was really surprised that it came up. And she said all 3 agents that came over all volunteered to discount, and she wanted me to discount mine half by half. And so it was really upsetting. I walked away because I wasn't going to do it. And yet I just went on another listing over at Houston Lake. Again, I mean, we've met with them a couple times. Great. So they've been giving me paperwork ready so we could do a coming soon. And then all of a sudden I get an email asking me if I would discount. And I let them know that my goal is I'm going to be making them more money than, what they had intended. Along with the regular scripting, both of these, It's like, if I can't negotiate for myself, how am I going to negotiate for you? What part are they giving up? What part they're not going to do? Bottom line is they didn't care. All they cared about is a great market. You're not going to have to do much. And we don't care about all the other fluff you're telling us. Are you going to discount? Yes or no? So I'm really deflated on this. And then the listing, I just got under contract. I was just told this morning by Carol, she's like, well, you know, that's a discount too. I mean, you're taking that for 2.5 on the buyer side. So I feel like I feel deflated. I don't want to role play. I don't feel like it's a scripting problem. I feel like this is maybe in my own mind, but I feel like sellers are like, we don't care. We just want to go with even more money in our pocket because you've already told us what the average number of days is. So I don't know. Anybody else running into anything like this? And it's hard enough to get listings to lose 2 of them because I'm standing by my principle. And yet it makes me scratch my head and think, am I that smart or should I be doing the same thing?
I think that's an amazing topic, Lisa. I really do.
I have a question. When you say discount, does that mean you have a set commission rate?
Typically I like to do 3 and 3 on the buy side, 3 on the list side.
So you don't negotiate on that, right?
Well, that's the problem is everyone it seems like lately that is what people are saying. They want me to discount it. Or if not, they've got several other agents lined up who said that they would, and they're willing to take the listing. They want to work with me. And yet if I don't discount it, they're moving on because that's what's most important to them.
Has anyone else experienced that in the market? Are you seeing 2.5% buyer commissions come out and competing with listing agents who are cutting commissions?
My name is Jessica Patterson. I actually lost out on a home listing because I wouldn't cut my commission 1%. And as a new agent, I just felt that was not okay.
All right. Hearing some consistencies. I've experienced it.
Yeah, so I went on a listing appointment with someone and she was so very confident and just telling she got the listing, but she was confident in letting them know, yep, I'll do it for you for 2.5. And I was just like, okay, is that what everyone's doing now? And that was the first one I had ever been on. And I was just, I to hear how you guys are handling it. So.
So here's what I would say. I think this is probably a conversation that we can really dive into on Thursday. When we start to hear something like this, and this is one of the reasons that script call, I think to me in my business is so valuable because we can start to have a little group think. Candace, you could have said, hey, I heard it once, no big deal. Lisa's saying I heard it twice. I'm saying I've had it as well. We can start to have a conversation and predict where we feel like the market's going and the objections that are going to come. So my request for everybody would be, it sounds like most people on this call, there's no set commissions. Most people on this call try to charge 3% on the buy side and 3% on the list side is what I'm hearing. So I want to have a conversation about how we can stick to that. On Thursday, I want us to expect to talk about what type of value are we bringing? How can we set up this conversation? I think there's some linguistic ways that we can ask questions and set ourselves up for a different conversation and be prepared for it. What I'm hearing from buyers, and I don't know if anybody else is hearing this as well, and mostly sellers, I guess, is exactly what Lisa said. It's easy, you're not going to have to do anything. And that's because we're the ones on this end of it preaching that. This is so easy, it's going to sell in half a second. It's great. We, and maybe not you specifically in the conversation of your client, but we as real estate agents are pitching how great the market is, how easy it's going to be, how we're going to have 15 offers. It's not surprising that that's what they're asking. We just have to have a better script to set ourselves up and make sure that we're communicating our value. And I think there's gonna have to be some group think on this, and let's work through some actual scripts and try it out in the market. Because I would guess that we're only gonna see that more frequently and hear that question more often. And there's absolutely a way to overcome it. And we'll get there. I think it's a good topic, Lisa. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, you're welcome. It's what's on my mind, and I'm looking forward to it because I think every script I've ever heard with my coaches over the years, I just filled out on both of these clients. And so if there's some new stuff out there, I'm so ready for this call on Thursday.
Let's do it. We're gonna find some new stuff. I'll ask my coach about it today and we'll see what's working in the market. And we'll have a conversation around it.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, you guys have an awesome Monday. If you're in the office, come say hi.